welcome you to San Diego, California, and today's edition of the West Coast Conference This Week. We're on the campus of USD. Our feature game, University of San Diego Toreros against the Pepperdine Waves. That is coming up. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins once more with my partner Brad Holland. And Brad, first weekend of conference play in the WCC. It all began on Thursday night, and form pretty much held true. All the home teams won the games they were supposed to win.
All the teams that were supposed to win won, right? But I just love getting into the conference season. You know, it's a different intensity, a different focus. Teams are extremely well scouted. And therefore, the statistics, Barry, that you accumulated during the regular season or non-conference doesn't necessarily transfer to conference games.
Well, let's talk about the teams that are the haves as opposed to the have-nots. And there are both, quite frankly, in this conference. Gonzaga, they weren't supposed to be quite as good as they were last year. Final Four team, of course, last year. But you know what? Still pretty darn good.
Maybe not as strong, but still very good. And we know that they can really score, which is usually a Bulldog team, right? But when I think of Gonzaga, I think of a very balanced team, Barry. I mean, they've got 5 guys that can score in double figures, led by Jonathan Williams, their senior forward, who could be player of the year in the West Coast Conference, and then their great point guard, Josh Perkins, putting up good points and assists. But what do they do well? They can flat score. I mean, they're averaging 90 points a game, right? So a lot of offense, as usual, for the Zags this year.
And as good as the Zags are, and without question they are, they were not picked to win the conference by the coaches in the West Coast Conference. That honor went to St. Mary's, and they seem worthy.
And, you know, deservedly so. I mean, why I say that is they've got the 2 best players in the league, in my view. They got Jock Landale and Emmett Naar. Jock Landale, I think, is the best big man on the West Coast. He's leading the West Coast Conference in scoring and rebounding, and he shoots 65% from the field. And then you've got Emmett Naar, who I think is one of the top 5 point guards in all of college basketball, averaging 9 assists, and he hardly ever turns it over. Now, they've got some other good pieces. They're really strong top to bottom. I like this St. Mary's team a lot to win the conference.
And you talk about Gonzaga being able to score, and that's their hallmark. Might say the same thing about BYU. You know they're well coached, you know they're tough at home, and you know they're going to put points on the board.
You're right. Dave Rose has himself another really good team. And you're right. With Yoli Childs and Elijah Bryant, they're going to put some points on the board. Elijah Bryant is probably an NBA prospect. And then you've got TJ Haas running the show for him. So they've got a strong offensive team, and where I think they've really improved, Barry, is their defense. Opponents this year are averaging 7 fewer points. So if they can keep their offense going and keep that good defense, they're going to be a player in the conference race.
Well, you lead me talking about defense to our next subject, and that is the team that you and I are going to be watching, your old team, the University of San Diego. Arguably the most improved team in this conference, and he's got Lamont Smith a real buy-in on the defensive end.
Yes, he does. Statistically, Barry, I mean, USD is one of the best defensive teams in the entire nation. I mean, the last couple of games, they've been blocking the heck out of it. They had 10 blocks an opponent. They had 9 blocks the other night against USF. And so they lead the West Coast Conference in a lot of major categories on defense, including field goal percentage. They're holding teams at 37%. And then points allowed, only 61 points that their opponents are getting.
And they're led this year so far by 2 transfers, guys who were not here last year, and they're really getting it done this year. That can sometimes be a double-edged sword. Good sometimes, not so good other times. For San Diego, it's good.
It is very good. The Isaiahs have been welcomed with open arms by their teammates, and we're talking about Isaiah Pinheiro and Isaiah Wright, 2 players that have transferred in. Boy, have they made a difference in this program. All right, you've got Isaiah Pinheiro, who's leading the Toreros in scoring and rebounding, and then you got Isaiah Wright, a legitimate point guard who's doing a lot for them offensively and defensively. You put all that together, and 2 players have changed the course of the USD program.
And of course, the biggest reason for that and for the meshing of this team is one of your guys. Lamont Smith played for you at University of San Diego, and here's what he had to say when we talked to him about the 2 new guys that are getting it done.
Isaiah Wright is one of our captains, one of our 3 captains. Isaiah Pinheiro, I'm sure by the end of next year will be a captain as well. Both have tremendous leadership, tremendous work ethic, and really have meshed really well with our guys. That sit-out year did them really good. They were here. They were part of our team. They didn't get to play games, but a part of our team, and then kind of easily flowed into when they were eligible to play this season.
Well, Brad, I got to give you props, of course, for the coaching tree that, and it's all really comes from you all around this West Coast Conference. You had Randy Bennett was one of your assistants. He, of course, doing a great job at St. Mary's. Marty Wilson, who we're going to be seeing today on the Pepperdine sideline, and a guy that has really had to struggle through a tough season. And Lamont Smith, a guy that played for you, and now here he is coaching and doing a heck of a job.
You know, thanks, Barry, for that. It really warms my heart that maybe I had a little bit to do with having all these coaches in the league right now, and I'm so darn proud of Lamont, you know, and he was a great player for us, and to see him develop as a student athlete, then an assistant coach and head coach, and in their 3rd year really turning the program, it means a lot.
Well, 2 of your guys will be on the sidelines tonight. It'll be Marty Wilson, the coach at Pepperdine, and of course Lamont Smith, 10 up and 3 down, the coach here at San Diego. When we come back, Chris McGee going to bring you up to date on everything West Coast Conference.
Welcome back to WCC This Week here in Los Angeles. I'm Chris McGee. It's an exciting time of the season for the West Coast Conference as conference play begins. And with that, let's get you straight to the highlights. We started off with Gonzaga ranked number 20 in the AP Top 25 going into conference play, taking on Pacific. First half, Josh Perkins pulls up. He's going to get the friendly roll from deep. We look at this again. Perkins shooting over 47% from deep this season. Zags up 6. This time on defense, more Perkins. Steal, the score. That's part of a 14-2 run for Gonzaga. They're now up 8. About 8 minutes left in the first half. Jesse Wade misses the 3, but Killian Tilly gets the offensive rebound. He misses the putback, but Jacob Larson finishes the job. Gonzaga up by 9 after the putback. They led by 10 at the half. Second half, Pacific trying to come back. Miles Reynolds swings it. Jaleel Tripp for the 3. Tigers within 7. A few minutes later, nice take from Gui Hachimura for the score. Hachimura 19 off the bench. Perkins come off that ball screen. The side screen, hits the 3 ball, had 16 points and 5 assists. Next Bulldog possession. Zach Norvell Jr. pulling up. It's good. Under 8 minutes left. Gonzaga pulling away. Perkins finds Corey Kispert wide open under the rim. Zags up by 25. Every year it's someone new for the Zags. Under 4 minutes to go. Silas Melson with a 3 ball. Zags are rolling. They go on to win 81-48. They blow out Pacific 50-27 in the second half. Moving on, San Francisco taking on San Diego. Kyle Smith in his 2nd season as the Dons head coach. Lamont Smith in his 3rd season with San Diego trying to pick up his first win against USF. First half early on, Torero's leading scorer, Isaiah Pinheiro, gets hot. Defense loses him. Pinheiro hits the wide open 3. A few minutes later, USD up 2. Spot up for another 3. 3 for 4 from downtown at half for Pinheiro. Dons cut back the lead. Down 6. Nice pick and roll to find Jimbo Lull. San Francisco down 4. But Pinheiro doing it all. This time on defense. Steal. Throw down the 2-handed slam. He had 15 points before intermission. USD leading by 11 at half. Second half. Check out this from Isaiah Wright. Look at the crossover, the drive. Finds Pinheiro for the lay-in. Sometimes it's better to be lucky, even if Wright is smiling about that one. Oh, look at that, dropping a dime. San Francisco, another comeback, down 15. Sule Boom off the handoff, takes it all the way for the reverse lay-in. Headed team high 21, down 9. Nate Renfro gets the wide open look. Dons cap off an 11-0 run, cut it to 6. Just too much San Diego down the stretch, though. Ball movement at its finest. Basketball's not even touching the floor. Olin Carter finishes with the layup. San Diego wins 73-63. Pinheiro with a game high, 23. BYU coming in 11-2 as they open conference play against Portland. Jazz rookie Donovan Mitchell. He's in the house. That's always nice. He's pretty good. He's on his phone. BYU up 2, playing a little defense. Yoli Childs gets the block on Josh McSwiggan. And TJ Haas goes the other way for the layup. BYU up 4. Less than a minute to go in the first half. BYU up 5. Jashir Hardnett finds Childs at the top of the key. Drives with no resistance. He's going to dunk it. Childs just looking like a man amongst boys on that dunk. Hit a game-high 15 points at halftime. BYU up 7 at the break. JoJo Walker. He's calling his bank. Portland down 1. Moments later, BYU looking for some momentum. Childs attack and jam it. BYU up 3. More from Childs. Here they are in transition. Elijah Bryant airballs. Childs just got a nose for the ball. BYU up 7. BYU defense turns up the heat. Childs gets the steal, finds Bryant in transition, who's going to Euro step inside for the layup. Childs is doing it all, by the way. Here's a nice move by Bryant. And all of a sudden, BYU's up 10. 5 minutes to go. Haas sees an open Bryant on the wing. He knocks down a 3. BYU wins 69-45. They're 1-0 in conference. Yoli Childs finished with a career-high 26 points. Here's BYU TV Spencer Linton talking to Childs after the game about the win.
If we play team defense and we play hard on that end, the offense is going to take care of itself. It's going to be nice if 3 balls not falling, and we got to push it inside like we did tonight. It's going to be nice when they're clogging it up inside, and we just got to kick it out and shoot 3s. So whatever the defense does is wrong.
And you joked with me after the last home game that you got all of your misses out of the way just in time for conference play to start. How would you assess your first conference performance tonight?
I got to be a little bit better. I got to play a little bit harder on the defensive end, especially to keep the ball in front. But I think that was pretty cool. Oh,
yeah, that's Donovan Mitchell.
Oh my gosh, that was kind of cool. But no, I mean, I think it was a good start, but we just got to keep improving.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Pepperdine and Santa Clara entering WCC play with identical 3-9 records. First half. Watch this dunk. Trey Burhow. Oh, go ahead. Pepperdine takes the lead. Waves feel like dunking. Matthew Attaway. Pepperdine led by as many as 8. But the Broncos are going to take the lead right here. Matt Hauser, the 3. Later in the first half, nice pass. Emmanuel Endomayo for the jam. Check out that pass from Shaquille Walters. Santa Clara up by 2 at the break. Second half, freshman Colby Ross takes it to the rack and finishes with contact. He led all scorers with 20. KJ Fagan misses, gets his own board, puts it back. Santa Clara takes the lead. About 3 minutes to go. Broncos up 1. Shot clock winding down. Henry Caruso drives to the rim. Oh, look at the finger roll. Caruso had 16. Santa Clara, they're out in front. Fagan, he had 15. Santa Clara hangs on to win 72-65. LMU at St. Mary's. 11-2 St. Mary's looking for their 6th straight win at home. And they're coming out hot. Jordan Ford kicks it out to Calvin Hermanson. St. Mary's up early and pouring it on. Tanner Krebs. Cross court to Hermanson. It's a good look. Another 3. St. Mary's up 14-2. Gale's pulling away. This time Hermanson sees the defender fronting Jock Lawndale, so he throws it over the top. St. Mary's is up 20. They're well coached. Later in the first, Gale's up big. Emmett Nahr put his defender on the floor with a fake. Who else? It's Hermanson. Southpaw shooter from the corner. 33-12. Nahr drives, kicks to Hermanson. I want Hermanson on my fantasy team. This guy's on fire. St. Mary's up 26 at halftime. Second half, Gales are cruising. Nahr does the unthinkable. Threads the needle. Look at that pass between the defender's legs. I want to look at that again. That's the play of the year in the WCC conference. Oh, that is nice. Crowd going nuts. Defender didn't know what hit him. Let's look at it. Let's look at it one more time, because it's that good. Landale finished with a game high 21. Gales up 25. Jock Perry gets it in the post. Ball goes right to Jordan Hunter for the dunk. Everything going St. Mary's way. I mean, look at that. It's just your day. St. Mary's is going to win 87-59. We know it's early, but let's take a look at the conference standings. The top pretty much looks like you would expect it to. BYU, St. Mary's, Gonzaga all picked up wins in their first games at WCC Play. BYU and St. Mary's with better overall records at 12-2. San Diego team many expect to surprise some people. Right behind Gonzaga at 10-3. The Broncos also go to 1-0 in the conference after beating the Waves, who are 3-10 to start the year. Coming up on WCC this week, a San Diego senior by way of Germany, Cameron Neubauer, comes from a long line of athletes. We sit down with Cameron and his family to hear his story. Congratulations to St. Mary's center Jock Landale. He's a good man. The WCC Player of the Week, 6'11" Aussie, poured in over 18 points and 10 boards a game for the Gales as they went 2-0 this past week, including 14 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks against Dayton. It is the second time this season that Landale has taken home the honor. Congrats to Jock. San Diego's Cameron Neubauer comes in at 6'7" and 220 pounds. That might not be all that uncommon in the game of basketball, but there's more to this young man than meets the eye. He grew up in Germany, speaks English and German fluently, and on top of that, not only is he a starter for the Toreros, he happens to be the lone senior on the team. These are all nice accomplishments, but as you will soon find out, the apple didn't fall that far from the tree.
It was just an average day in Germany. Cameron Neubauer was helping his father around the house, moving boxes from the basement, when he accidentally came across an unfamiliar piece of family history.
And I pulled it out, and there were all these medals in there and these trophies, and he casually said it was when he was in high school and competed for Germany swimming-wise, and I was like, wow, that's actually kind of impressive.
And the list of family accomplishments would blow you away.
Well, being from Dallas, I'm a huge Cowboy fan, so once I said that, he was like, my grandfather was part of the original Cowboys, and I was like, really? And then I learned his dad was from Germany, his mom was from the States. She was a basketball player at Cincinnati, and then he swam there, so automatically you're like, well, your parents both Division I athletes. And then I come to find out that his sister is one of the best swimmers in Germany, and then his other sister is playing Division I basketball here too, so it's just, I mean, it's just incredible.
Sometimes you can never be too sure of who you really are, or in Cameron's case, who you are destined to become.
I knew he was always good because he had this, always, and he could shoot, always. This had to catch up, but we figured it was just a matter of time.
I grew 5-6 inches. With that, became more athletic. I think that's when I started to realize junior year, stuff started to come together for me.
His younger sister, we would go running in the forests in Germany, and she was a great runner. And we would just do a hill workout and up, and here he came, and all of a sudden, she had been practicing all summer and running all summer. He hadn't been doing anything, and he just beat her every time. We had no chance. She started to cry, and I think that was the first time that we realized, okay, he's moved beyond us.
Neubauer's destiny went beyond the court at San Diego, following the lone senior into the classroom.
The thing that I most enjoy about Cameron and his GPA is that he competes. He really takes pride in trying to be the best student athlete on our basketball team. Has worked on an internship in the summer with a lawyer, has already taken the LSAT.
And as if the natural gift and IQ his parents blessed upon him were not enough, they also raised him in a bilingual household, speaking both English and German fluently.
In our household, we normally spoke English. I spoke German with my dad. I went to bilingual school. I went to bilingual schools my whole life. Very fortunate to have grown up that way, being able to speak 2 languages simultaneously. And yeah, and here I am now speaking English.
It was on that average day, with a plain dad moving normal boxes, that Cameron Neubauer found his extraordinary destiny.
My parents having done the same thing I've done, it's been really helpful just because there's times where you hit a wall and you don't know what's going to happen and you get injured, or academics aren't going too well, or basketball. I mean, I came in with a different head coach than I have now, and there's talking to my parents and them having experienced that has really helped, and them being there for me. I'm extremely grateful for the family I have. I love all of them.
For WCC This Week, I'm Sammy O'Brien.
Thanks, Sammy. Great work. What a story. Let's take a look at today's slate of WCC games. We have 2 WCC games to start off the first weekend of conference play. Our game of the week is between Pepperdine and San Diego at the Slim Gym. Our second game is the Gales taking on BYU at Provo. Both of those 1 p.m. starts. The Zags are at home against Santa Clara at 4, followed by San Francisco taking on Portland at 6. And finally, our nightcap is between LMU and Pacific. That is at 7 p.m. Pacific starts. All right, that'll do it from here. Back to Barry Tompkins, the OG, and Brad Holland at the Slim Gym in San Diego after the break.
We welcome you back to San Diego, California. We are on the campus of the University of San Diego, where the hometown Toreros entertain the Pepperdine Waves in our WCC game of the week. And hello again, everybody. Barry Tompkins, Brad Holland. Brad, we always talk about X factors in our game. Let's talk about them through the conference.
All right, these X factors, Barry, are very good complementary players relative to their program. Calvin Hermanson, what can we say about him, senior forward with St. Mary's? You know, with the inside-out game, they kick it out to Hermanson. He's going to knock it down at 47% from 3. And then Matt Hauser's having a great junior year. Had 5 threes the other night against Pepperdine, shooting almost 40% from there. And then TJ Hawes, averaging 13 points, sophomore guard for BYU. And he's an excellent playmaker. And you can bet he's going to be dishing a lot to Yoli Childs and Elijah Bryant.
All right, well, let's turn our attention then to the game that we're going to be watching today, the X Factor for Pepperdine, a guy named Colby Ross, who's got to step up.
He does. 2-time Colorado Player of the Year, having a great freshman year. He's the Wave's second leading scorer. He does everything well, shoots for percentage, and he makes 90% from the line, averages 5 assists a game, which is 3rd in the conference, had 20 the other night against Santa Clara.
And for Isaiah Wright, we've talked about him already on a couple of occasions. Not sure I'd call him an X Factor. He's almost an A Factor these days.
He is. I mean, he's a point score guy that can score, shooting 47 for 3. Fantastic passer. If you're open, he's going to find you, Barry.
All right, that's the setup for our West Coast Conference game of the week. It's San Diego and Pepperdine. One team going one way, the other kind of going the other way. Let's see what happens on the game of the week coming up next.